Hi, I'm Kern Cherry, speaker, coach, author, entrepreneur of over 23 years, and I'm the co-founder and director of Success Women's Conference. As an entrepreneur of over 23 years over my home care business and also creating and planning events and conferences for over 15 plus years. I'm here to talk to you about creating your own door. Many times, how many times have you actually gone and wanted to be a part of something and you just wasn't included? I often tell people when you go to the door and the door doesn't open, go to the next door, right? And if that door doesn't open, try going around the back. And if the back door, you just can't get in the cookies and candies and everything you brought, it doesn't work. Create your own. Many times have you wanted to be a part of something? You knew you had the assets. You knew you were a great speaker. You knew you were a person that had gifts and talents. You knew you had ideas that would help your boss's business. You knew you had all these things that would help an organization, a nonprofit, an event, whatever. You knew you had all that, but yet you were still not let in. You were still not that person that were allowed to participate, allowed to be a part of the group. I am here to encourage you to create your own. It's time for you to create your own. You were made not to just grow somebody else's business or somebody else's idea. You were gifted from birth with many gifts. And it's time for you to utilize those and create your own, whether it's creating an opportunity on a job or whether it's creating your own business. It is time for you to create your own and walk in your gifting. I often think of the times that I have created things because I saw a need, but also there are many times I was just not included. So when my husband and I, Dennis, started a business called PR and Home Care, which we now run today, like I said before, it's almost 24 years now. But that being said, we were working in the field of occupational therapy, and we had many ideas when we were working for these other companies. And we, of course, as a person who comes up with ideas, of course, I want to share because I want to see the organization that I'm working with also do better as well. But a lot of times that is just not what happens, right? What you want to happen don't necessarily uh, happen for you. You may have an idea, they may take your idea, but they're not considering that they got the idea from you, or at least at that point, they're not acknowledging. So what do you get from it? Pretty much nothing. You're still doing and working the same thing that you've been doing, right? So there's no upper mobility or anything there for you because they own the business and it's their company, which rightfully is theirs. That being said, when the industry in the occupational therapy field and all the therapy field, physical therapy, speech therapy, all of them actually suffered a crash all at the same time. And that being said, instead of us saying, okay, we're going to stay and wait for everything to bounce back, it was our time to go ahead and push out, move out of our comfort zone, even though, we all know that things take money to do. We pushed out and we created our own business. And even throughout the business, we made adjustments. We've done other businesses. Some worked, some didn't. But our home care business is still here 23 plus years later. And so the same thing has happened with other things. Prior to Success, I've done many other events. Some successful, some not. One of my most successful was my caregiver conference called RIGHT, Resource Information and Planning for the Elderly. And that was brought out because I saw a need along with my partner at the time to create a caregiver conference. Uh, Caregivers needed resources and information. So we wanted to help them with that. So we created RIGHT, Resource Information and Planning for the Elderly. We also saw that we were not being invited to other tables for other senior events in the community. So again, we decided to create our own. And of course, I'm saying I've done it many times, senior expos and things like that, where I had thousands of people, because again, wasn't invited to the table, but I saw a need. So again, pulled my own people together and I created my own. And yes, you need people to do that. So that being said, success was born out of that as well. Success has been around. We're almost 7 years and growing. And of course, again, my partner and I, we saw a need. There was a need in the community. We saw that women needed growth. They needed to be helped. They needed something more than a chamber event, a woman's networking event, anything like that. They needed more. They needed to get fed. And of course, sometimes, again, you are not invited to the table, or you just know that you could do it quicker or better on your own. And thus success, when we created it, it took 6 to 9 months, and we had over 540 people plus at our first conference, because that we saw there was a need. So we decided to create our own opportunity, our own door, in order to touch other people. Now success has grown in person to over 1,100 plus people, and virtually last year, over 17,000 people. So there is when you take the opportunity to create your own things, doors will open, and the same people who turn you down may come back to you. So I'm going to go over a few things today. Keeping in mind our time, I'm going to go over a few different things, talking about characteristics of people that just step out and create their own. And then making a plan, because everything you do, you need to make a plan. And then what you need to do, go ahead and set those steps in motion. So let's talk about characteristics that you need to look inside yourself. These are things that you can do to help you as well. So we're talking about creating your own door, creating your own opportunities. So having the right mindset is a must. You must start off with believing that you can achieve whatever you put your mind to. So you got to have the right mindset. You must be willing to take chances, to move out your comfort zone. So you must be willing to do that. Try something new. It's okay to step out and try something new. You take your ideas. Make sure you look at your ideas. Spend some time on it. As I said before, write your vision, mission, and all that. You want to take the time to do that. And look, take time to believe in your dreams, your passion, something that you believe in, right? And then look at your gifting, your gifts, the knowledge you already have, the skills and talents that you have. You must be willing to make quick decisions. You can't always overanalyze everything. I know from being a woman and knowing many other women, a lot of times we overanalyze things. You must be willing to make quicker decisions if you're going to be successful at what you're doing. Be determined and driven, right? You must be a person that just determined, driven, persistent. And you must be willing. You must have faith and courage. You must be willing to walk in faith and have courage. And then the other thing is, as I mentioned before, be persistent, be resilient, and take initiative. People that create their own opportunities, they take the initiative. And then you must be flexible. You must be flexible. One of the things that we learned during this time is flexibility is key to being successful, right? You got to pivot. If you didn't get tested during this time, then you've been fortunate. But most of us learned really quickly how to pivot. As you can see when Success Women's Conference came around, we had to pivot. We had to pivot because you can't do live, even though we had many successful events. It still was a time that we figured it was time to make the pivot and go virtual. So now you want to make a plan. You want to make a plan so that you can take some action here. So first thing I suggest that you do is find you a quiet space. Find you a quiet space that you can get in and spend some time. Sometimes it's okay. You know, when you see a person talking to themselves, you might think you're crazy. But in this case, this is the time to sit down and write out your plan. Talk with yourself. Talk with the Lord and make a plan. This is your time. And so write down your ideas. What would you do if nobody paid you a dime? What is something that you would do for free? I always tell people, those are some of the things you need to consider when you're trying to create your own opportunity, right? And what gets you excited? You know, something that you think of doing that gets you really excited, right? And then the other thing is find your gift. Find your gift. Because that's probably what's getting you excited anyway. It's probably the thing that you would do for free anyway. Find your gifting. And it's said in Proverbs 18:16 that if you make room for your gift, the world will make room for you. What an amazing and what a blessing it is when you think about what that means. If you walk into what you're naturally gifted at, you will be prosperous. You'll make money. So tap into your gifting. Stop sitting on them. This is your time, and it should be part of your plan. Look at what your gifts are. If you don't know what they are, I always say, ask God. He'll show you. So the other thing is, when you're taking these times, make sure that you write it down. Get your journal. You know, I know a lot of women out there love journaling, probably some men too. They love journaling and writing their ideas down. I have learned to write a lot of things down and to take the time and plan it. One of the things I did really good in 2019 afterwards was to take time and to actually not jump feet first, but to write my ideas down leading into the next year. So even though the next year was rough, guess what? I still was able to achieve a lot of my plans. So that being said, write it down. Write it down. Get you a planner also that you can plot down sometimes so that you have a goal set for when you're going to make things happen as well. So the other thing you want you're going to set that plan in motion, right? So some of the things you want to do to set your plan in motion is you want to first thing, find a niche. Find a niche. So while you're writing your plan down, you also want to find a niche in the area that you're looking at going to. Those are the people that actually take off and do well early on because they're finding the niche versus looking at trying to serve everybody. they try to find a niche in the market. You can't really serve everybody. So you got to find where you fit, and you got to find where maybe there's a weakness, a weak spot where other people could utilize what you're bringing to the table, what you're creating. What door are you creating for somebody to be blessed by? So that being said, when you're finding your niche, make sure to look at these things. This is what helps you find what is a niche and what is the benefit of it. If you can find how you can help in an area, even on a job, how to help them save money on something. Maybe you're making it better. Maybe you're bringing something that makes it better. Example, Jeff Bezos, when he came into what he does, Amazon now was not Amazon then. He started off because he saw a need in the book industry, right? And then he started shipping books, and he changed that whole industry and it's taking it everything to the next level. But it was a niche. It was a niche. Think about it. When Redbox came about, when Netflix came about, nobody was watching movies digitally and things like that, but they were able to sell their service. It became a niche. And then eventually now, look, it's a perfect timing because we're all in a digital world. These different companies found their niche. They found a niche in the industry, and now they're all billion dollar companies. So the other thing that you can do is become a guru, an expert in the area. And I want to just give you some strategies on how to do that. Taking and becoming a guru. I always say when you walk in your gifts, if you tap in that gift, it's going to help you be a better guru at what you do as well. But here's some strategies that I like to use to help people realize my gifting and how to become an expert at it. One is you want to make sure you stand out. And how do you make sure you stand out? So here's some of the tips on that. I suggest that you start hitting the speaking stages. Do that more. If you're doing a little, increase it. Hop on different speaking platforms, different conferences, different events. Do that. Jump on a podcast. Jump on many podcasts. Set a goal for how many of these platforms you want to get on a month. And then also, get interviewed in magazines. Go and do Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, LinkedIn Lives. Be seen. The goal here is to increase your visibility so much that people look for you to talk on a specific topic or to tap into a different area that you're in, whether it's speaking or whether it's building something, whether it's publishing, whatever it is, you want to become the expert on that. So don't be, and the other thing I want to advise you on is don't be afraid to collaborate with others. Don't be afraid to collaborate with people in the area you want to go in. Don't be afraid to make those connections as well. And don't try to do everything yourself either. So I want to encourage you to step out and create, when you're creating that plan and you're setting up your plan, to also pick the right people that will help you carry out that plan as well. So the other thing that I want to make sure I talk about is that the first tip that I want to say is take action. As Nike says, just do it. You got to take action. That is one thing that I encourage you to do. So whether you're thinking about it or you haven't really thought about it, I want to tell you to make sure you take a plan and jump out of your comfort zone and just do it. And then the other thing I want to say is keep in mind. Some people say, well, is it really worth doing? Well, know this. Nothing that's easy is really, if you think about it, it's really not a challenge for you. And most of the time, it's not stretching you. So it isn't really worth that much to have. When you stretch yourself and you push yourself, you're going to drive more and it's going to mean more to you. So make sure to do that. Include, so the other way to keep pushing yourself, to make sure that you actually do take the leap and create your own, I want to encourage you to do some positive affirmations. Some people do them every day, and I would encourage you to keep that right mindset. You want to do that as well. Tell yourself something like, you are amazing. You hear people all the time say, get in front of the mirror and talk to yourself and tell yourself, you are amazing. You are enough. Get rid of that imposter syndrome. You're enough to accomplish anything you put your mind to. You have God-given talents inside of you. You can and should walk in your God-given gifts. I want to leave you with a story in closing that I often talk about, because I think sometimes a lot of us forget that we're called here for a purpose. We're called here for a reason. And it is your job to tap into those gifts. I talk about a parable that's mentioned in Matthew's 25, 14 to 30. It talks about this master gets ready to go on his extended vacation. But before he leaves his servants some duties. He hands them money, gives the first one 5 talents, the other one 2 talents, and the other one 1 talent based off their already known ability. And he tells them to basically make him some money. And the first 2 did come back. They actually doubled the money when the master came back. And of course, the master was extremely excited about what they did. And then the other one that only had 1 talent, and talent being money in that parable, that he said he was afraid of what the master would do. So therefore, he buried it. Well, the master, of course, was extremely angry. He cast him out in the darkness where he was gnashing his teeth, right? Are you that person sitting on that gift that you've been given from birth? Maybe you're using your job as an excuse not to tap into that gift. But I can tell you, just as in the parable, you were called to work and walk in your gifting. How many of you are sitting on gifts that you should be using, to create your own door? You're called to do that. I challenge you to step up and to walk in your gifting. So I'm Kern Cherry, and I'm so excited that you were able to join me today. You can find me on many social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, my favorite being LinkedIn. You should be there. You can also find my events, success, Power Up Summit, Level Up Summit, and many more. Also connect with me there on Facebook as well. You can contact me at coachkern.com. I love to teach people how to create their own profitable event. That's one way to create your own, right? At coachkern.com. You can also join me on a book project, new one being Trailblazers Who Lead. So contact me. I'm Coach Kern. I'm Kern Cherry, and you can contact me at coachkern.com.